Welcome to the Growth Show, y'all. Welcome. This is our first episode, the Growth Show with Keshelle and Dr. Glenn, or Dr. Glenn and Keshelle. Anyone you want to say. He wants my name. He wants my name first. I don't know why. But this is our first episode, and it's our episode on a special day, and it's our anniversary.
Which anniversary?
It's the 9th anniversary.
All right, okay.
I've gone in 9 years, and we wanted to do something different from what we would normally do, and this came up. How do you feel about this? It's been a while. Not really. It's not been a while since we've been talking about this.
Well, I'm excited about it because of what it brings, the element of sharing and teaching, and if you know anything about me, I like to share knowledge, and so any way I could share knowledge is good for me. And so,
yeah.
I'm excited.
So let's, people will have, they know some people know what we do and what we, are about. But let's talk about, why the Growth Show. How did it actually come about? Well, from your vantage point, how did it come about?
Well, for me, I feel the whole concept of the Grow Show started from even before we met. Yeah? Because when we met, I can remember one of the things that we spoke about when we first started to date and get to know each other. And you had said to me that an ex, you outgrow a particular ex.
Yes.
And after you outgrow the ex, you left. And I was like, so if you outgrow me, you're going to leave me as well. And you was like, well, I didn't look at it like that because one of the first things I did when we started to talk, you asked me about my goals, and I was able to tell you my goals and plans. And you remember what you said to me when I tell you my goals and plans?
I can't. You know how long it was. I can't remember.
You said, I don't see myself outgrowing you because you already come in with goals and plans, and you appear to be somebody who's going to grow and learn. And so that element of it wasn't an issue.
It's so interesting that you did say this show started from before we met. I didn't even look at it like that until you say, but you're right. I remember us having that conversation about my ex, and just to give some background, I outgrew all of my previous relationships. Seriously, I outgrew them because I was always learning and growing, and they was. In that time that we were together, they didn't. And so it's ironic that we are here, 10 years later since we met now?
10 years, yes.
And
so it's 9 wedding anniversary, but we met a year before.
Right, so 10 years of us meeting. Yeah. And what, people talk about how we met and what attracted me to you, vice versa, but based on what you said, what also attracted me to you was the fact that of course you were a teacher, and tying that to growth, my thought process was, and I didn't say it to you, I don't think I did, but my thought process was, if you're a teacher, you have to always be learning. Okay. You have to always be growing. And I think that's how I reconciled it in my brain, that, okay, I don't see myself outgrowing you, because I'm always growing. And then when you shared your goals and you said, okay, you're working on your doctorate degree, I'm like, okay, well, he going all the way up.
This one have potential. He a little broke, but he have potential.
You're going all the way up to learning to the highest level. Like I never really, had the goal to be no PhD, no doctor. I said, I ain't going to school for that. So to marry a doctor was good.
Good enough for you. And also a part of it, even though, we met and we talked about growth and all that, it's a difference of talking something and actually living it. Yeah. When we first got together, again, when we got married, we set goals. We had values for our relationship.
Yes.
You remember that?
Yes.
We set values for our relationship, and one of those values, core values, was growth.
The number one was growth.
Yes, that was the first one.
That was the first one, and it's always been that way, because I think if we don't have a growth-oriented mindset in any area, we're going to talk about, who the show is for and what the show is about, but you don't have that growth oriented mindset, at least for a person like me, we can't hang together. Like, you have to be growing, you have to be learning, because that's what I'm about. And so it just was natural that this show came about. And I'm happy that you brought up core values, because the original concept of the Grow Show came out about a year ago.
I remember that.
Right? You know, I worked that whole, I don't call it name. Don't call it.
Sorry. It's called, you went to a particular radio station.
You know, a national radio show, you know, talk show hosts and filling in and auditioning to be the long-term talk show host, you know. And I remember the time, I mean, I put a lot of work in that proposal. I like a lot of work in the proposal, and I proposed it as, hey, this is not a talk show. This is a Grow Show. And I defined what the core values were and, you know, all of that stuff and why I was the best person. And obviously I wasn't chosen. And, you know, it worked out.
But you remember what I said to you when I heard the concept? I said to you, I say, babes, they're not going to gravitate to this because this is not hot topics. This is not gossip. This is not
politics.
Entertainment news. This is not politics. And so when God gave you the vision, you was thinking it was for that particular arena. But actually, He gave it for us because that was our core value. That's some of the things that we share together. We just wasn't thinking us. You was thinking the particular show. And so it came back around full circle.
And it came back full circle because this week, funny enough, I mean, we produced this show as a way to celebrate our anniversary. But when I looked back at the memories, this week was the first week of the show. Did you recognize that?
The first week of the
talk show that we was hoping to be. I was hoping to become the Growth Show, and so that it has come full circle, and so it was meant for us to do it. Yeah, I love that. So, from your vantage point, because, you know, I put all of the time into from a year ago to produce what this Grow Show about, but what would you say is the mission of the show? Why are we here? Why are we doing this?
For me, the mission is to be able to empower people, to be able to have conversation, and I said this to you last week, to talk it out and grow, to talk about different aspects of our individual lives that can help us to take us to a next level. And I think for me as an educator, it's important for me, whatever it is that I do, is to be able to empower people to grow and to live their best life. And so I can't tell you that I have all the answers, and I can't tell you that I know all this information. I'm so smart, and I even know what a podcast is supposed to be all about. No. My aim is to just be able to get that information and share it with somebody else. All right, and to be able to learn as we go.
Yeah, and I agree. It was for both of us to do, and I believe it's a purpose for us coming together, because the mission for me is all about spreading knowledge and empowering people to grow. And growth, not just from a relationship standpoint, you know, because when people look at the two of us, they think, oh, it's a marriage show. No, it's not a marriage show. I mean, we can talk about marriage.
It's not a relationship show.
But it's also about business. You know, I'll tell you, leadership. Learning, travel.
Empowerment, travel.
Music. What else we like?
Kingdom.
Absolutely kingdom. And so it's that culmination of everything that we like and we bring together. So if you're thinking it's just a marriage show or relationship show, you're wrong. If you know anything about me, I'm obsessed with business. So business has to be a part of the show.
And you talk about combination. It is also a combination of our experiences in different areas. So for example, in the area of leadership, I've had leadership experience in the secular world and in the church world. Right? You have also had leadership experience in the secular world and in the church
civic world.
And so that's a combination of that. When it comes to relationship, in terms of specifically marriage. You've had 9, we've been together for 10 years, but married for 9.
Yeah.
So we have that to share. And so while it may not seem like much to some people, we've learned some things within the past 9, 10 years that we're going to be able to share to help some people.
Absolutely.
You know, because I know of marriages who didn't make it past 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if they had the knowledge that we have and that other person have that would have been shared to them, it maybe would have lasted a bit longer.
Yeah, and it's not even to those people who have been married less than us. We know people who have been married longer than us, and because we were so growth oriented, and we devoured knowledge.
Yes.
We still have so much to share, you know, no matter how long you've been married. So in that field for sure. And then travel.
But before we get into travel, let's talk about marriage a little bit more. And I want to clarify, because what you just did just now, I like what you did just now, because sometimes we tend to think because we weren't married for 25 years and 30 years, you don't have something to say. You don't have something of value in comparison to somebody who's been married for 30 years. However, we can share some things that and some techniques that we use to help us over the last 9 years. And even being a part of marriage ministry in church, it showed, because a lot of the things that we go through in marriage is not just unique to 1 year, 2 year, 5. We have people married for 25 years and still go through similar disagreement and experiences.
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with the number of years, but to do it, the purpose of why you're together and the purpose of what God designed marriage to be, and how we can stay together and let the world know that marriage is still honorable above all.
How we can grow through marriage.
And grow through marriage.
Yeah.
And go through the difficulties of marriage.
Yeah. I heard someone talked about growing pains.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's definitely growing pains in marriage. There's definitely growing pains in any area. Any time we want to grow. I love that element, because there are growing pains. And I think that determines who we are as individuals. Yes. Are we going to let those growing pains stop us? Are we going to let them stifle us? Yes. Or are we going to... We'll see. I was waiting for that. I was waiting for that, but or are we going to grow through those?
And my philosophy is, if you're not growing, you're either dormant, dying, or dead.
Yeah. So we talk about growing in marriage, we talk about growing in leadership, particularly leadership. You know, I mentioned business, and you know, before we go to the other areas, business, you know, I think what brings us uniqueness is I always, and this is our anniversary show, so let me tell you, know, when I was looking for a relationship, or, you know, when I was ready for love, let me put it that way, my thought, I was always addicted to business. Like, you know, I obsessed. And I remember you asking me on one date, it was a date or somewhere. What you asked me? It's like, only business you talk about. I'm like,
what else other topics other than business.
What else is there to talk about? Like, seriously, what else is there to talk about?
I want to talk about topics, like broad topics. I want to talk about life. I want to talk about the unmentionables, like life insurance and death and children. It was just always business.
The business. And so when we met, or at least when I was ready for love, and I say it that way because that was the conversation that I had with God. Like, God, you know what? I'm ready for love. Like, I did all the stuff I wanted to do at that point. I'm ready for love. And in my mind, I wanted to marry someone who was in business. Like, I wanted a business partner. My previous relationship, and you know this, with that relationship that I came out of, we were together, but we were official business partners. So we had a business that we were running together, and it was pretty successful. And so, you know, when you came in and you wasn't in business, but you were a teacher. So again, that redeemed you. And you taught business. So I'm like, okay, God, okay. I you know what? You're a teacher, good. You teach business in the business school of the university. I think I can live with that. I can live with that.
The difference between you and I didn't come into a relationship with any list I need to take off.
That wasn't a list.
I was a part of a list.
That was just God says He will give us the desires of our heart. And my desire was, you know what? I want someone in business, because And you know why? We know this. I mean, you probably do know this because you're married to me. Being married to a business person, a businesswoman. I am a businesswoman. Being married to an entrepreneur, that's a different. A person has to understand what it is to be married to someone in business.
Meanwhile, me on the other end was very, very fickle. I wanted a tall woman. That's all the criteria was. You just have to be tall because I attracted to height.
See? Okay, you got your wish. I got my wish.
I got my wish. No, there were other things, but we didn't have this. We didn't have this checklist of what you, because before we even got together, a lot of the expectation that I had, the Holy Spirit took them away from me.
Right.
Coming from a line of women that cook and, housewives and all that stuff, the Holy Spirit had to take that away from me. Like, no, you're not marrying a housekeeper.
Yeah.
So get out
Child,
of here.
please. Thank you, Holy Spirit.
You're marrying an individual. Yes, you're marrying somebody who you're gonna to grow with and become a team with. And so we feed off each other's strength. And so
yeah. And now we're in business together.
Yes.
9 years later.
Well, that's a whole different story.
We ain't announced that yet. So let's
this lady is trying to get me to be a part of her business for the whole 10 years we've been together. I'm like,
come on,
no,
bro.
I don't want to be in business with you. We're night and day. You're unstructured. I'm structured. You are winging it like you tell me this morning. Just relax and go with the flow. And I'm like, no, I like stuff planned out. So I couldn't see us in business. However, again, the Holy Spirit have a different way of
finally. So that announcement is coming. That ain't yet. Just a prelude.
Right.
So, I know we're about to kind of wrap up, but it's just really appreciating the point that we were making, that this show is not just a marriage show. It's not just a business show. It's not just a leadership show. It's not just a travel show. It's a growth show in all of the areas.
In areas of your life and different aspects of your goals, your dreams, your vision. It's about more or less the individual, as opposed to society.
And the individual who is growth oriented. And so I guess that's a perfect segue before we wrap up as to who is this show actually for.
Yeah, that show is for you.
Yes. So we have three.
Want to be growing.
Three categories.
This ain't the gossip show.
No.
This ain't the hot topic show. Talking about the hot topic show. And I don't say that from time to time you may not have an episode where you discuss pertinent issue, but that's not the purpose of this. This is for us to talk it out. This is for us to learn from each other and to grow to the next level. Yeah.
And then if we were to categorize the three types of audiences who would listen to the show. Now, we're going to go deeper into this in a later episode.
Yes.
But, number one, it's for
the lifelong learners.
Lifelong learners, right? If you love to learn, if you love reading books, if you love learning through travel, if you love learning through any type of experience, if you identify with being a lifelong learner, this show is for you because we're both lifelong learners. We talk about learning all the time. Secondly, the show is for
lovebirds.
Lovebirds
who are in love, and especially for married people. Because anyway, I'm going to save that for the next part of the show. But I have this philosophy about the difference between what the world has marriage to be and what the kingdom have marriage to be. And so we're in the kingdom and we're supposed to be telling the message of the kingdom through our marriage. The world should not dictate, but marriage should apply for us.
So lifelong learners, lovebirds. You might as well go with the last one because the last one is...
You share the last one. I don't want to take this spotlight from you.
The third audience is legacy leaders.
Yes.
And legacy leaders are any leader, whether you're a leader in business, leader in ministry, leader in government, civic leaders, any type of leaders, not just leaders, but leaders who are committed to leaving a legacy in your life. And so that's who the show is for. And you want to add to legacy leaders, because I know you're passionate about leadership.
Leadership is my area. My whole doctorate is centered around leadership. And when we're talking about legacy leader, we're talking about actually leaving a legacy for the next generation. Preparing your successor, mentoring people. You know what I'm saying? And so it's no way you should be in a position, I say this all the time when I teach, but I'm going to leave the rest of the show, but no way you should be in a position for 10, 15, 20 years and nobody else knows what you do or nobody else in your organization, in your sphere can take over after you.
Can't pass it on.
You can't pass it on. That's a problem. and the problem would be that particular leader. Stay tuned.
All right, so that's who the show is for. We'll talk more about it in the next show. Thank you for listening, watching the first episode of The Grow Show. We did it, Joe.
And
happy anniversary! Listen, what you doing for me? This is the gift thing.
I am the gift. It's your whole package right here. What more gift you want?
I'm with you. I accept. You get a package. You the gift.